Next week is very important for Kashmir. Diplomacy is coming to the valley. Srinagar is hosting a G20 working group on tourism. Dozens of foreign delegates are expected to attend. It's a chance for Kashmir to shine, a rare chance. But as always, there are troublemakers. Let me introduce you to one. Dr. Ferdinand D. Warren. He's a professor in South Africa. He's also an independent UN expert on minority issues. He has a problem with Kashmir hosting G20 meetings. Let me tell you what he said, and I'm quoting. Holding a G20 meeting in Jammu and Kashmir is lending support to attempts by India to normalize the brutal and repressive denial of democratic and other rights. The situation in Jammu and Kashmir should be decried and condemned, not pushed under the rug and ignored. His words sound awfully familiar. Do you know why? Because Pakistan said the same thing. Unfortunately for them, this is G20, not the G50 or G100. So Pakistan has no scope of directly boycotting the meeting. Instead, they vented at press conferences and on social media. Same thing with the UN expert. The fact is, India is the rotating president of the G20. It can hold meetings wherever it wants, and that includes Kashmir. It's got nothing to do with the UN or the US or any other country. It's simply India's internal matter, no different than a meeting in Kerala or Maharashtra or Sikkim or Uttar Pradesh. India has criticized the UN expert's comments. New Delhi has called it baseless and unwarranted. It has also accused this UN expert of misusing his office. Can't disagree there. Just look at the language used. Normalize the situation in Kashmir that some have described as a military occupation. I have some numbers for you. Almost 20 million tourists visited Kashmir in 2022. 20 million people went there. Why did they go there? To see a military occupation? Or to see a crackdown on human rights? Such narratives are part of a larger strategy, a strategy to keep India in check. I'll give you another example. The US has just completed its annual lecturing ritual. The International Religious Freedoms Report. Once again, it blames India. We downloaded the whole thing. It's 49 pages of criticism against India. I'll give you the gist. Religious minorities were killed, assaulted, and intimidated throughout the year. That's what the report says. And how has India responded? Well, this was the statement from the Ministry of External Affairs. I'm quoting again. Motivated and biased commentary by some US officials only serves to undermine further the credibility of these reports. We value our partnership with the US and will continue to have frank exchanges on issues of concern to us. On days like this, you feel bad for diplomats. What do you even say? The US has been releasing these reports for years, but the content never changes. Last year's chapter on India is almost identical to this year's. And look at the timing. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is slated to visit the US next month. It's a state visit. What is America trying to say by releasing this report just ahead of the visit? Washington says it's not a government report. It's a non-binding report by an independent panel, but that's a hard sell. For starters, it was released by Secretary of State Antony Blinken. It was published on the State Department's website. So Washington may not have authored it, but their footprints are all over. Think of it as a diary for the US government. They cannot officially say all of this out loud. So what do? They release a so-called Religious Freedoms Report. And what's their strategy here? You see, the Americans love to play hero, but their superpower is not flying or super strength. Their superpower is to criticize. Many organizations in the US have tried to direct the superpower towards India. Just one problem, though. America needs Indian support in the Indo-Pacific, so open criticism is not an option. Instead, they use such reports. They club India with the likes of Myanmar, China, Iran, North Korea, and Pakistan. Those are the countries on the blacklist, the same blacklist that this report wants India to be put on. What company, though? A military state, a communist atheist state, a theocracy, a rogue nuclear state, and a failed puppet state. Does India deserve to be on a list like this? I think we all know the answer. Such reports are less about the truth, more about narratives. Another one was published earlier this month, the Press Freedom Index. India was ranked 161 out of 180. Guess who performed better than India? Afghanistan and Somalia. I hope the people who made the report remember this video. Armed Taliban fighters held an anchor hostage. They forced him to praise them on live television. I guess that's what press freedom looks like. It's easy to dismiss these reports as irrelevant and non-binding, but they reflect a larger attitude in the West. In their mind, India is still a basket case, a country with no religious freedom, no press freedom, and no human rights. Then why are they engaging with India? Because deep inside, even Western governments know the truth. It's all politics.